Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to go over our chapter, Min Zhao, chapter 10, on parachute kids, which will be broken up in 3 parts. All right, so before we start, I'd like you to take a look at my PowerPoint and like you to take a look at it as it goes on. Okay, so we're going to write a paper, and I encourage you all, and I always tell all my students is, if you're to write, particularly if you're in social science and you want to get into the PhD program, well, it's quite difficult these days. You have 200 at least applicants, let's say, to UC Irvine. And if you're going to the history department, you have like 200 applicants, right? And so really they're only going to accept like 6 to 12 people, right? So you need to whittle down that 200 to like 50 to actually read that 50. Right? And so immediately what happens is 150 of them will be in the no pile. So there's a no, maybe, and yes pile, right? And the no pile must be high, right? And so if you are applying to grad school and if you want to be in the maybe or yes pile, you'll have to do something extra, right? Because a lot of people, particularly during economic downtimes, will go back to school, right? So the competition is even more intense. So my tip for you, if you want to go to grad school, and again, it depends on what type of grad school you want to go to, because there's no selection grad school, there's low selection, there's medium selection, and there's high selection grad school. So again, no selection, they take everyone. It's like internet MAs, and you buy your grades, and so they have those. Low selection is pretty much takes like almost 100%. Medium, it's like 50. But if you want to go to high selection, and probably the University of California is a high selection grad school, you probably have to do something extra. And so here is my plan and my tip for you. Right? And again, this is told to a lot of students who go to like Ivy Leagues or go to liberal arts colleges, right? So my suggestion for you, if you want to go to grad school, particularly if you want to get a PhD, etc., is for you to publish. Okay, so we're going to write a paper in our class. We're going to write a paper on food and your ethnic identity. We're going to write about Chinese restaurants. Okay, so that's our paper. We're going to write it, and you know, you can publish it if you want, or if you can write some other aspect, other papers you might want to do. There's lots and lots, and I'm going to show you here. If I just instantly write undergraduate. Journals, if you take a look at that, there's a plethora of undergrad journals, and this is just one page, right? Just many, many undergrad journals. So if you want to go to grad school, if you wanted to go to a high selection grad school for whatever reason, or if you don't want to, and you don't have to, if you just wanted to get published, I suggest you do that for all your papers now. For again, our class, we're writing a paper. Why don't you submit it? Okay. Another thing I recommend for all my students, and a lot of students have never heard this before. I went to UCLA and I never heard this before, and actually, it was only when I was in grad school and I applied for it when it was like so much more harder to get in. It is the Fulbright, and I want you guys to apply to Fulbright. Okay, I'm going to go here. And there's actually many different types of Fulbrights. And if you guys were sitting in front of me right now, I literally, well, Mr. Patrick's back there, but he's our MC. So if you were actually sitting in front of me, I would actually call out different students' names and ask them what countries you want to go to and what kind of Fulbright do you want to apply for. So if you're a U.S. student, and now I'm clicking in U.S. citizen, okay, there's lots and lots of different types of Fulbrights that you can do. Fulbright is a fellowship program that is free. Once again, it's a fellowship program that is free, okay? Generally apply for it your junior or senior year, and there's different types of Fulbright. So let's say you want to do Fulbright MTV, well, music, television. So probably you're going to go to another country, and you're going to, so now let's say that's open, so let's click inside. Let's click inside. All right. Up to 4 months of Fulbright MTVU awards will be available. Projects will center around research on the aspect of international musical culture. And I was reading it like a couple of years ago, a person who won actually went to Nigeria and looked at rap, contemporary rap, and actually compared it to a geode kind of singing that they have in Africa, and he wanted to compare like the origins of that and how it linked to African American arts, which is rap. And so that was a really interesting project. So here, you know, you want to go to clubs, you want to listen to music, you want to listen to ska music in Europe, you want to, look at rock music in Albania, okay? So here you see the online application is November 2012, so I'm sure that updated, it says here Deadline is March 1st. Okay, so again, here you could do it the year after. You don't have to do it this year. So they have here, and they also give you application tips. Okay, so I want to help you. Although you don't see me, I will have physical and online office hours. I want to encourage you to apply to Fulbright. What do you have to lose? Nothing, right? You're going to apply. They're going to ask for a letter of rec. They're going to ask for a statement of purpose and probably a writing sample. And guess what? In our class, we already do a writing sample, right? So this is something I want you to consider if you want to be competitive to go to a high selection grad school. Probably a Fulbright would look very impressive for you. Okay. Also, there's other Fulbrights. Let's say you want to do public policy. Let's say you want to be a lawyer. Let's say you want to go into something, I don't know, economics. I don't know. Then you might want to do like public policy. You want to go to look at, you know, children's education in India. You want to look at different programs, right, on policy, like drug programs, anti-drug programs in I don't know, in China, and compare and contrast with the U.S. So again, these are another type of Fulbrights that you might want to apply. And this is the best time for you to apply for Fulbright. Number one, your competition is lowest now. Okay, your competition is lowest now. For me, when I applied for Fulbright, as a professor, I had to compete with people who've written 10 books. Okay, so it is astronomically not possible for me to get it, but you know, I will still apply, because the people you see as successful people are not people that actually, they're actually just people who fail a lot, right? So if you look at my CV, I've published 11 times. You might say, "Oh, wow." No, actually, I've really submitted like 200 times my stuff to various places. So really, I have like, what is that? Like over 90%, right? Kind of a fail rate. So again, a Fulbright, you don't expect Fulbright, but if you want to keep going in this academic game, you must every year, everything you see you apply to, and you don't expect to get it, right? You don't expect to get it. So my Fulbright story was, my sister was really sick, and so I turned it in, and it was horrible, and I was the alternate for Fulbright. I was a national champion, national selection for U.S., and I was the alternate, and I didn't get it. I was their alternate, so if someone dropped out, I would have been in. But what happened is I actually wrote my full application out. And there was another application for UCLA and UCR, and I just actually just changed the name from Fulbright to Labor Studies Research, and I actually got another fellowship for $17,000. So again, I really want to. I know money is tight for all you guys, and it's like astronomically like crazy expensive school is. So I want to encourage you to apply to this free program, because if you get it, it will be free, okay? And if you are a non-U.S. student, there's also programs for you. If you are a teacher, there's Fulbrights where you do your own research. We go to another country and then you like do your own research. But another Fulbright I want to talk about to you is, would you like to help out little kids? Like, let's say you want to go to Kenya and you want to help out first grade. Right? And again, if you're a teacher, and it's really tough right now in California, why wouldn't you do this, right? You're doing what you love, you're getting experience, right? So you would actually apply to Fulbright Teaching, right? So you see there's several different types of Fulbrights, right? And you know what? Unfortunately, this type of information is not actually told to all students, okay? I always tell it to all my students, because, you know, I always think, wow, it's like this like secret knowledge that people have. They don't like really share it with everyone. Like, it would be helpful if I knew this, you know, back in the day. But again, there's like some people who know about it, and some people don't, right? And particularly, I would say like liberal arts colleges, Ivy Leagues, they like push their students to do it. Again, so I'm pushing you to do it if you want. I would definitely help you to my full extent. I would help you extensively to get your paper out, your essay, I've worked with lots of students applying. I had a student who wanted to look at yoga in India, another student who wanted to go to the Balkans, and he wanted to look at music in the Balkans, and another guy who wanted to go to Jamaica and look at like dance hall music. Okay, so there's different types. So I really feel like it's good for you. And again, in terms of countries, I just want to tell you the backstage. Some countries are more difficult to get in than others. Like China, astronomically hard, because everyone's going to China. Okay. Mexico, everyone goes to Mexico. United Kingdom, everyone wants to go to like United Kingdom or Paris, right? But countries that like you're not going to have the huge probably competition is probably Czechoslovakia, right? So countries such as that. So there's like more competitive countries than others. So I want to encourage you right now to apply for Fulbright. Just email me and I will help you along the stage. I will do online office hours, but also I'll physically be here as well for office hours. So feel free. I will very much go through the entire packet with you, and I want you to apply, okay? Great, so that's what I want to tell all my students is apply to Fulbright and publish your workout in undergrad stuff. You guys are the millennial generation. You guys are brilliant, and unlike me, I waited till I was like late 20s to publish something. You guys are publishing stuff now. You guys are doing your own YouTube videos now. You're self-publishing. You're just crazy. You're like the generation that just do it yourself, right? And so again, it's something that you might want to consider publishing on Fulbright. All right. So I just want to start that one, and please see me. I will help you. All right, so Chapter 10, Min Zhou talks about parachute kids. Now, she talks about this concept of these kids in Southern California. They're called parachute kids. And let me read you actually her abstract to her book. Parachute kids are a highly select group of foreign students who have come to the United States to seek a better education in American elementary or high schools. Upon arrival in America, these students were typically between the age of 8 and 17. Many of them were admitted with a FI student visa. Some came on a B2 visa, but later adjusted to a FI student visa. To the extent that they are in their preteens or teens in search of their self-identities. However, these parachute kids and other situated immigrant children are subject to similar demands and pressures imposed by them, by their families, their American peers, and their host society. This article discusses how parachute kids as a social group have come about and provided analysis of the risks inherent to the transnational families in an attempt to sort out possible factors influencing educational experience of parachute kids. Okay, this article also seeks to highlight policy implications and educating America's new second generation. So some of the oral people, you're like, oh, I don't know what you said, okay? So basically this article is about rich kids from Taiwan, okay? Rich kids from Jamaica, rich kids from different parts of China like Korea. So you've gone to high school, you've met those kids, I've been friends with those kids. They come here as little kids and they live by themselves in a house, right? Sometimes they live with an aunt or uncle or some person visits them, right? So parachute kids it's what it is. It's like these parents, they put their kid in like some airplane and they drop them off, right? They drop them off in an arcade, and these kids like literally live by themselves or have very minimal supervision, right? And that's what this chapter is talking about. Parachute, and in this case, parachute Chinese kids. But when I actually have my classes where I have like lots of students, I actually will ask a question: are you a parachute kid? And like invariably, I'll have a parachute kid from Jamaica, I'll have a parachute kid from Korea, I'll have a parachute kid from Taiwan. So it's basically like parents, and this might be shocking to a lot of people that are listening, but all over the world, parents, they push their kids and they want their kids to be successful, and they know that if their kids come too late to American society or too late to a host society, they can't acclimate, they have a big accent, etc. And so what they do is they push off their kid at age 12, age 8 sometimes, live by themselves, maybe with an aunt or something, or if they're older, just with another sibling, okay? So again, that's what a parachute kid is. It's literally what it is, a parachute. So let's look at actually the downside of parachute kids. And this is actually, let's see, where's my other one? Oh, okay. So, something interesting about parachute kids. These kids tend to be upper middle class, or let's just say it rich, right? Because your parents can afford to drop you off in a different country, pay 2 households, etc. Well, in the 90s, actually, and you see how this is in 1993, actually a lot of negative occurrences happened because of these parachute kids. They actually committed a lot of crime. On one hand, they're wealthy, they're rich, their parents like set them out in the house by themselves. But on the other hand, they're alone and they had to create a new family. And actually they committed a lot of crime actually. And especially in the early 90s, there was actually shootouts, and in Arcadia there was a case where these straight A Chinese kids, right? They're parachute kids. Their parents are like in Taiwan. Were actually arrested stealing computer chips. So it's really interesting. So they feel very lonely, right? And this is something that I know that in our class, I'm sure lots of people have experienced this. And I have to say, some of my students are very bitter, right? I usually at this point in my class, I'll ask the parachute kids, hey, Did you think you grew up well? Did you think that your parents sacrificed? And some of the parents are like, some of the students will always say, well, yeah, it was, I understand my parents did it that way, so I would get an American dream. Others are like, I'm very bitter. To this day, I'm very distant from my mom, my dad. My sister raised me. I'm very bitter, right? So here is a kind of a Los Angeles Times article about kind of the negative aspects of parachute kids. They have had really, it just, I think for Americans, just shocking, right? How could you send a 12-year-old kid by themselves, right? So here is an article, Chinese-American leaders call for action on parachute kids. Immigrants. Taiwan is urged to cut the flow of children sent alone to attend U.S. schools. Programs are proposed to combat isolation. As a parent, I don't know, I could not do it. And at this point, I usually ask the students, could you send your kid, if you had a better life, if you knew that they would get a better life, right? Would you send your kids to another country at the age of 12, right? And some of the people say yes, some people say no, and there's like good reasons on both sides. And usually we go down the line in the whole classroom. And so if you want to take a sheet of paper out and you want to write the pros and cons of parachute kid, feel free, because there really are a lot of pros to it, right? Remember, you're going to get citizenship, you're going to have a chance to go to college where it's astronomical chance in China to get into college in many of these places. And you know what? America is really a great place for second chances. You go to junior college, and you can get into a Cal State or UC, which are excellent schools. Okay, so again, there's lots of really good and bad reasons why someone would want to be a parachute kid, and we could actually make it on your blog. You could actually blog right now, maybe the pros and cons of being a parachute kid. All right, Chinese transnational kids. You're looking at Taiwan, okay? What is a parachute kid? So in your blog, you can write about it. What is a parachute kid? Well, we'll go next one. A parachute kid is a kid that primarily in this case, although it's globally all over the world, but in this chapter, it's a Chinese kid. Primarily here, she talks about from Taiwan, whose parents just drop them off in New York or in California, and they just live by themselves, or they might have like a minimal supervision, maybe with an aunt or maybe a family friend. And where do they live? Well, they live in very varied circumstances. Some have tight families. I think the majority do not, right? They have some sort of supervision by an aunt, and some of them live in boarding schools, of course. And why do their parents do this? Why do their parents do this? So write down, why do their parents do this? So I want you to think about it. You live in Taiwan right now. Taiwan is still at a ceasefire with China. Both are nuclear. You live in a tiny, tiny island of Taiwan that has been invaded several times by different peoples, right? You know that it's astronomically very difficult to get into college in Taiwan, but you know that your child will have a higher chance of getting college in America. Maybe a better life, maybe more opportunities. Again, it's a small island, right? It's an island where all the tanks in China are pointing at, right? So there's actually these required. If you're in Taiwan, you must join the army. Again, you must join the army, right? So do you want your son to join the army for 3 years or 2 years? Do you want that? Okay, that's required. That's not a chance. If you don't join the army, you lose citizenship. You lose a lot of these social benefits, right? So are these parents, are they cold monsters who are sending their kids away? Or are they cool and calculated, rational people where they know that Taiwan as an island, it's an island, can't sustain or their children, right? So I want you to think of the pros and cons. I want you to write a list, right? Remember, do you want your son to go to the army? You don't have a choice. You live in Taiwan, you got to do it. Do you know that every single day that there are drills because China has all its tanks and a huge army right across the water? If you can see right here, this right here is lots of tanks are actually aimed right here. This is swimmable. Well, not swimmable, but you know what I mean. It's crossable, right? So you have this constant threat of this gigantic juggernaut of China, which is nuclear, right? Which is hostile towards you, which says that you are actually part of its country, right? So if you were a parent, what would you do, right? Again, it's a lot of sacrifice, right? And it's something that students always ask me, would you do it? And I have to say, I probably wouldn't do it, but I understand like why people would do it, and it's a really difficult decision, and a lot of people are sometimes forced to do it. So, all right, so here I'm going to show a clip of the Fung Brothers. Okay, end of this segment, and we'll go part 2 and part 3 of let's see, is it the Fung? Let's see what this is one. All right, so we're going to look at interethnic engagements between Asians and blacks.
No more suits! Jeremy Lin, baby!
I kind of miss my suit.
Well, you can still wear one.
Nah, I just rock the t-shirt. It feels nice.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, everybody? David Fung here.
And Andrew Fung here.
And together, we're the Fung Brothers! We got a comment on our YouTube channel asking us a very interesting question.
What are the similarities between black people and Asian people?
Black people are black, and Asian people have black hair. Look at it. Black on black, all black everything.
Some things that black and Asian people both like is rice.
Oh, wait. I thought only Asians like rice.
Wrong, wrong, wrong. Uncle Ben is the #1 top-selling brand of rice in America. Even though the people making the rice may not be black, there's a black person on the box. Therefore, meaning black people eat it. Obviously.
Hey, David, Asians and black people both love rice.
A lot of people say that black people love chicken. But guess what? Asians love chicken too!
Yeah, Asians, we love baked chicken, fried chicken, stir-fried chicken, steamed chicken, boiled chicken, stewed chicken, broiled chicken, every chicken. We love it. Basically what we're saying is that we love chicken too. And I guarantee you that Asians in the world probably consume more chicken than everybody else combined.
It's probably not even close, actually.
Just because there's so many of us. And we all know black people love chicken because that's a stereotype. And stereotypes are true. Every single one of them.
Another thing that blacks and Asians have in common is wearing Asian hair on their heads.
Because we wear Asian black hair, but some black girls also wear hair from Asia.
We're talking about weaves. So my sister could shave her head and then sell it to a black girl as a weave.
Asians and black people, let's admit it, we don't like to tip.
Waiters do not like having blacks or Asians as customers.
Asian guys and black girls are the most undesirable people on earth.
Nobody wants to marry us. We both love basketball. The only difference is black people are actually good at it.
We both like white women. Only difference is black guys can get them.
It's Wu-Tang Clan.
To sum it up, black people and Asian people are the same. Exactly the same.
I don't know if that's true, but there are some similarities. Enough that we can be friends.
Thank you for watching this vlog.
On the channel comments, leave your questions if you want the Fung Brothers to rock your world. I like black cars.
I like black shoes.
All right, so let's take a break and come right back to number B, or letter B.